Hello. So, in this lecture, we're going to talk about the square root and our definition, which is worded a little bit poorly by yours truly. Says the number c such that c squared equals a. C is called the square root of a. What that means in math symbols is we can have the radical here. Now the radical, if there is nothing written where my cursor is, and that's called an index, if there's nothing written right here, it is assumed to be a square root. That is the only type we're going to see, so don't be panicked. You will not see anything written here in this course. That's not to say for the future, though. So, this radical here, we're taking the square root of a. The result of that is c, where c squared will get us back the inside. A here is what we call the radicand. And a is the radicand. So if we take c and we square it, we'll get back whatever the radicand is. For example, if we were to say, I don't know, we have 121, and we're taking the square root of it. Now, what you're going to think of is some number squared that will get you 121. And if you're shouting 11 at your screen, you're correct, because if we took 11 and we squared it, we would get back 121. So 11 squared is 121. The square root of 121 is 11. Now we gotta be careful. Square roots are a little bit sensitive. So I'm gonna do a new problem. It says find all square roots of, and here's our first number. Let's use 121. Since I talked about it. Now, you can start panicking a little bit because they use that word that is always so painful. Find all square roots of 121. We know 11 is a square root because 11 squared gets us 121. So 11 is a square root. But if we can think of something else, and usually this is the more fun part about being in a class, where you guys shout out answers that you think could possibly be something squared that gets you 121. We lose the magic here. But I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to tell you negative 11. Because if you think about it, that's a negative times a negative. Well, positive. And 11 times 11 is 121. So negative 11 is also a possible square root, because it follows our definition that we have something squared equal to the number we're searching for, the radicand. Find all square roots of this number. Now, because that's a little complicated, usually we'll have ask questions where we'll say the vague direction, simplify. And you will have the square root of 121. This is called the principal. And let's write that. This is called the principal. That's an I there. Kind of got messed up. Principal root. I hope I used the right principal. You might want to double check me if it's AL or LE. The principal root is the positive square root. So it is automatically assumed when there's no sign out front that we're finding the positive square root, at least for our course. Sometimes people define them a little bit differently, but this is the most general one. If by some chance we have a negative in front of it, they are searching for the negative root, because we will always have a positive root and a negative root. And that's all it needs. It's actually called the negative root. So for this section, what your homework really is going to be, besides understanding our definition from the first bit that we started with, where we're finding a number that we can square it and get back the radicand, you're going to need to memorize your perfect squares. Now I'm going to give you a chart. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and so forth. You want to have up to 12 at least down. If you can also remember 15, 20, and 25, those are bonus points. Any more than that, you're doing really great, okay? Like 13 and 14 are pretty nice too. The reason why is because when I ask you the question, what's the square root of, I don't know, 49, you're already knowing in your head, well, it's either positive or negative because you're going to have two roots always. But because there's no sign out front, I had asked for the positive one, and you'll know it's 7. If I had written find the negative square root of 49, you will now know it's negative 7. And that's all that they have to offer. So get to memorizing, right? These are going to be fun on top of everything else I need you to know.